You got it, Jules?
Yes.
Just a very quick repetition, basically, of the Mishnah. It's going to say, Tanur and the Brisa says, Achal kol Michael v'lo achal basar shasa kol mashke v'lo shasa yayin. You had a whole bunch of food and you didn't have meat. You had to drink a whole bunch of drinks, but you didn't drink wine. Eino nasa ben soramura. You're not considered a ben soramura unless achal basar v'yishte yayin. You have to have meat and you have to have wine. Shinamar zolo v'soveya. These words, zolo v'soveya, in the Torah describe to you who you have to be a ben soramura. What is a zol of a survey? We don't have exact proof of this, what it's referring to, but we have a zeicher l'davar. We have a hint to it, a reference to it, something. Shenamar altihi b'soive yayin. So you see the word sove is referring to someone who's gluttonous, who drinks a lot of wine, and bizole basar. And the word zolel refers to someone who eats meat. Lamo. The omer ki soveya v'zolel. Okay, so now that's basically a very similar idea to our Mishnah. Now, the Omer Kisove v'Zolel Yoresh v'Kirayim Talbish Numa. So this person who's very gluttonous is going to end up being a Yoresh. He's going to end up becoming very, very poor. He's going to end up looking for food and not finding it. And then the Kirayim Talbish Numa. What does it say? He's going to wear ripped clothing. Tattered clothing. Okay, fine. So that's what's going to happen to this guy. And now, not really related, but Amr Bzeira Kola Yashan Bebeis Medrash. Anybody who sleeps in a base medrash, Toraso Nasislo Krayim. His Torah will turn into fragmented.
It becomes tattered also.
Right, meaning it doesn't make
that word.
Tattered. Right, it becomes ripped, meaning the Torah will become fragmented, and it won't be whole. Shnamar the Kirayim Talbish Numa, and you'll wear fragmented things. I guess the one who's gonna be sleeping is gonna end up wearing fragmented clothing, meaning his Torah will become fragmented. Okay, so continuing what you have to do to be a ben sarmar. So far we spoke about that what age he has to be, right? That was the beginning. How old he has to be, until what level of maturity. Then we went on to speak about what he has to eat or drink, right? That was the last Mishnah. And wine and certain kind of wine has to be cheap wine and cheap meat. Okay. Now, who does he have to steal from? The food leads to theft because he wants more. So now, Ganav Mishal Aviv, the Achal Brishus Aviv. So let's say he stole from his father and he ate it in his father's domain at his house, yeah. Or Mishal Acherim, he stole from, let's say, his neighbor or somebody else, the Achal Brishus Acherim, and he ate it in their domain, in the neighbor's house. Or a third case, Mishal Acherim, he stole from somebody else, but then he came back home to eat it, the Achal Brishus Aviv, Eino Nasa ben Sorer Umora. He does not become a ben Sorer Umora in all three of those cases. We'll see why. Ad Sheyignov Mishal Aviv. He has to steal from his father specifically, and he cannot eat it in the presence of his father. Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Yigdov Mishal Aviv and Mishal Imo. He has to steal both from his father and from his mother, and we'll see what that means. So now, yeah, it's very tough. That's what we're going to see. It could be never happen, but yeah. So now 4 cases of who he stole from and where he ate it. The only time it's going to work is if you steal from your father and you eat it in someone else's presence. Why? So now, gun of Mishal Aviv, if you stole from your father, and then you were Achal Brishus Aviv, and you ate in the domain of your father, even though you commonly steal from your father, he's the most readily accessible wallet to snatch, right? It's right there. However, bias, you're scared of him. You have fear of your father. So to eat, so if you have fear, therefore what? You're not going to continue to do this. The whole point of everything that Ben Sarmar has done so far is that he has to do X, and therefore it has to allow him to continue to do it. Mm-hmm. So certain wine, certain meat, you have to continue to do it. So to eat in front of your father is going to be too scary for him. He might catch him. So he's not going to continue to do that. Mishal acherim, va'achal b'rshus acherim, steals from somebody else and eats in their presence. So now, Acherim, avagav lo bayis. He's not so scared to eat in their presence. It's not their father, it's somebody else. However, lo shchiach le. He's not commonly found in the house of somebody else enough that he'll be able to keep stealing from them. Comes once a week, once a month to their house, whatever it is. He has a play date. Right? He's only 12 years old, right? 13. So he has bar mitzvah lessons over there, but it's not like a every day, every night he's at their house. So therefore, for sure, if you're at someone else's house, which you're not commonly found in their presence, and you eat it in the presence of your father, which you're scared to eat stolen food in your father's presence, that's for sure not going to work. So you have to have two requirements. You have to steal from a house you're commonly found in, and eat in the presence of somebody that you're not scared of. So that's only going to work because his wallet's readily available to you for some reason. No, meaning your father's money and his property is the most accessible. But you have to eat it somewhere else because you're the most commonly found by your father. But if you eat it somewhere else, nothing to be scared of. No one there is going to know that you stole. You're eating a nice, a nice burger. They're not going to know where you got the burger from. Oh, it came from stolen money from your father. So that's you have to steal from your father, but eat it somewhere else. Okay. Rabbi Yossi has a requirement that you have to steal from your father and from your mother. So now, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda, Amar, Achino, Mishal, Avav, Mishal, Imo. You still here, Steve? Yeah, you're with us? They get there. Okay. So, okay. So now, Imo, mean Allah. Halachically speaking, once a woman's married, so whatever she acquires, her husband acquires, it's his. So what's the case where he's stealing something specifically that belongs to his mother? So now, yeah. So now, Masha Kanta Isha, Kana Baila, whatever she acquires, he acquires. So Amar Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina, he says, it must be Misuda Hamuchenes La'av Ula Imo. Maybe it's from a meal that was prepared specifically for both the father and for the mother. Says the Gemara, V'hamar Rabbi Chanan bar Molada Amar Rav, Amar Ravuna, Eino Chayiv ad sheyikne basar bezol v'yochal yain bezol v'yishta. He has to go and steal money and then buy the meat, cheap meat and cheap wine with the money. So stealing meat from an already prepared meal is not going to be good enough. He has to steal money. So what money is he taking from his mother, which does not belong to his father? Maybe it's from the money that was specifically prepared for a meal for both of them. So somebody puts aside money to prepare for both a meal for the father and for the mother. So the mother has not yet acquired it, but it's designated for her. Maybe that would be the case. Or Ibai's aim, a second answer is, in other cases, what someone can do, he can give money to somebody on condition that your husband doesn't take it at all. On condition that he has no domain over it, no superiority over it. So that's also money that's going to be specifically belonging to the wife and not to the husband. Yeah. That's how, according to Rabbi Yossi, you're able to steal from the mother also. Either it's money that was put aside for that meal, or specifically money that was given over for the father to not have any ability to use it. Okay. Next Mishnah. Haya aviv rotze ve'imo eina rotze. So sounds like the father wants to execute him, to bring him to Bezdin. I think, right? Yeah. And Ima Eina Rotze, mother doesn't want. Yeah. Aviv Eina Rotze, Ima Rotze, or the other way around. A father doesn't want, he wants to take over the family business, and the mother wants him to get Olam Haba. So Eino Nasa Ben Soramora. He does not become a Ben Soramora until Achu Shneim Rotze, and they both have to want. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Im Lo Haisa Imo Ru'uya Aviv, Eino Nasa Ben Soramora. So he says only if the mother, cryptic statement, we'll see what the Gemara says about it in a second. She's not fitting for the father. He doesn't become Ben Soramora. She has to be fitting for the father. Says the Gemara, my Eina Ru'uya. What does it mean she's not fitting for the father? So if you'll tell me it was some kind of relationship that you cannot continue like chayve, it's a chayev krisos, one of the relatives maybe. Or, my ain ruya ile me chayve krisos v'chayve misos bezdin, some kind of relationship that gets gets very terrible punishments, execution or kares. But says the Gemara, at the end of the day, it's still his father and it's still his mother, even though they were married in an inappropriate way, but it's still a father and a mother. Sof sof avu avu and who who. It's his father, it's his mother. Ella, what it means is fitting for the father, something totally different. This makes it really hard. Ella b'shava la'aviv kamar. What it means is she has to be similar to the father. What does similar to the father mean? Tanya nami hachi, says the Brisa. Rabbi Yehuda Omer imlo haisa imo shava la'aviv. If she's not similar to him in voice, the kol, ubimara, and in appearance, ubikoma, and in height.
Talking about not being legally married.
Well, yeah, that we just did.
Okay. Okay.
Right? If they're not legally married, but there's still a father and a mother to the kid.
Right.
So he's still the son of her and the son of him. They just weren't married. So it must be she has to be similar to him in voice, appearance, and coma. I don't know exactly what the details of that are. I mean, what does it mean similar to appearance? Long hair or short hair or short hair? I mean, I don't know. Ein anasa ben soramur. Why? What's the reason for this? My taima sounds like a very extreme requirement. You know, my damar kra, the pasuk says, Einenu shomeya, and here we go. The kid didn't listen to our voice, bikolenu. Oh, midikol ba'inan shavin. So now, bikol in our voice, our similar voice, it sounds like. Therefore, once that is similar, so then also the appearance and the height has to be similar also. Mara v'koma nami ba'inan shavin. Wow, that's a difficult one. So yeah, Rashi says that in our voice sounds like it's one voice. So one voice meaning that they both have a similar voice, either a deeper voice or a higher voice. Yeah. So now, Kiman Ozla, and here we go. Kiman Ozla Hadetanya. Who does the following brisa go like? That what a ben soramor lo hayav lo asiliyos. That a ben soramor never was and never will be. So then, why is he written in the Torah? V'lama nichtav darosh v'kabel schar. I know it's written in the Torah. Why should you expound it and receive reward? So the question on this is: there's not enough parts of the Torah that we can spend our years expounding and getting reward. I mean, there's no end. You know, one parsha mishpatim, you're set for life. You know, you don't. so it could be there's. I think some say it's specific reward for this parsha in the Torah, because maybe the lessons here are different than everywhere else. Educational lessons, how important authority is. I don't know exactly what the answer. I have to look it up. But specifically, you're supposed to get reward either in general or specific expounding in this parsha and getting a reward for expounding this. So Kiman, who's that like? That's like Rabbi Yehuda. Like Rabbi Yehuda is the second opinion in our mission that says that a mother and a father have to be similar in appearance and voice and height. Sounds like, according to the first opinion, right, it's likely that a ben soramor with all of the qualifications could happen. Only according to Rabbi Yehuda, who makes this final requirement of the voice and the stature and the appearance, for sure it can't be. Okay, that's one opinion. Ibais Ema, maybe this brisa goes like somebody else. Ibais Ema Rabbi Shimon, it goes like Rabbi Shimon. The Tanya, what does Rabbi Shimon hold? I'm Rabbi Shimon, because he ate a amount of meat, and he drank a half a lug of wine, Italian wine. Because of that, he gets stoned. Ella lo hayav lo asiliyos. Says Rabbi Shimon, it can't be. It must be that it's never going to happen. I guess that the parents will. What's never going to happen? That parents will actually take him to get killed.
There never was.
Right before that.
Surely no parent would ever do that.
According to Reb Shimon, only according to Reb Shimon, a parent would never do that, and therefore, v'lama nichta, why is it in? Drosh v'kabel schar. So, right now, there's two opinions that would hold it never happened. Either the requirement to have the same appearance, voice, and stature, Rabbi Yehuda in the Mishnah. According to him, he held it never happened. According to Reb Shimon, but only Reb Shimon, the fact that the kids stole and ate this meat and drank wine, parents would never take him out. But once again, according to the other opinions, parents would take him out to get stoned. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, that's also very interesting. Ani Re'isiv, I one time saw one. It's interesting. V'yashavti al kivro, and I sat on his grave. So he's coming to say, of course, it could happen no matter what. Meaning, what's he coming to say over here? He argues on everybody. I was there. It for sure happened according to all opinions. It didn't really happen, but he's saying something else. I'm not sure exactly. But okay, so Margolis Yam I have at home. Those are both, yeah. Margolis Yam was early 1900s. And Einayin Lemishpat was actually Rav Asher really the Meir's grandfather. I think he wrote the Sefer. Okay, we have to look there. Fine. Maybe on Shabbos, maybe not. So either way, so fine. That's that. That's Rabbi Yochanan's opinion. And now that we spoke about the idea of never happening or maybe happening, we're going to go off a little bit about other things that might have never happened. So, Kiman Azlaha Tanya, the following brisa, Irani Dachas, a wayward city where most of the inhabitants of the population went and were persuaded to do idol worship. Lo Haisiv Lo Asilios. So one opinion holds that also never happened. It was written to expound and receive reward. Yeah. Kiman Rabbi Eliezer. That must be like Rabbi Eliezer. How do I know? The Tanya Rabbi Eliezer. Who's Rabbi Eliezer? The Tanya Rabbi Eliezer. Omer Kol Ir Sheyesh Afilu Mezuzah Achas Eno Nasas Ir Nidachas. According to Rabbi Eliezer, amazing thing. You have most of a city committed idol worship. You have one simple Jew at the end of the city. Yeah, he has a mezuzah. Why? Because his father had a mezuzah. He doesn't know why, right? This guy saves the entire city from getting destroyed. Interesting. One mezuzah. My time. Amar Kra. How does one mezuzah save a whole city? Because you have to destroy all the inhabitants. The shame of Hashem that's in the mezuzah, there's a prohibition to destroy the shame of Hashem. You're not allowed to destroy and erase the name of God. There's kol shlala tichbutz, gather up all the spoils of the city of the Irni Dachas, el tochachava to the city square. This Sarafta be'esh, and go and burn it with fire. Go and burn it. The cave in the Ika mezuzah, you can't burn it. Lo efshar detziv, lo sasim kain, la Hashem elokechem. It says when you go into the other countries that you made other countries, you're going to destroy all their idols and all their things that they worship, but you can't do that to your God. I mean, you can't destroy his name. So that there were no mezuzahs in stone. And what's afloat? Oh, Steve, great question. No, but still. Yeah, they always ask those kinds of questions. Like the whole school of thought, they always assume, right? Like, Aki married two sisters, I think, right? Same kind of. Right. Yeah, good. That's interesting. That's very interesting. Yeah. So that's why he held this never happened practically because we're assuming even a city full of Jews, even if most committed idol worship, I guess if the guy who's convincing them is a smart guy, he'd first have everyone take down their mezuzahs and then convince them all to do idol worship. That way he could, yeah. So, yeah, good question. I mean, what? Except for Lot, we assume that no one was Jewish there, right? So the question's on Lot. Yeah, interesting.
Well, the word Jewish. Doesn't mean they were because Avraham Avinu was spoke about 10 righteous men.
Right, and they didn't find those. They didn't find 10. Did they find 9 or 8 or 7? Right, good. Yeah, so that's what he held. It never happened. Amar Rabbi Yonasan. Sorry, not Rabbi Yochanan. Amar Rabbi Yonasan before and now also. He says, Ani re'isi v'yashafti al tilo. I was there and I saw. I was on the mountaintop, so to speak, where it got destroyed. I saw it and I sat on that hilltop. Okay. A third case. We know that a house can also get tsaras. Your house can also get leprosy. So one opinion holds this brisa, it never was, never will be. To expand and get reward. That's why it's written. Kiman Kirabelazar Barab Shimon. Why? He's going to have a very specific specification of how to have this house of Taras. The Tanan Rabbi Eliezer Omer, the Tanan Rabbi Eliezer Rabbi Shimon Omer, Laolam Ein Habayis Tami Achi Yira Kishtei Grisen. You have to see an amount of leprosy that's 2 grisen worth. What peas worth? 2. Gris is a little pea pod. Beans. Sorry. 2 beans worth. You have to have that amount of 2 beans. Al shtei avanim on 2 stones. B'shtei ksalim. So the amount of 2 beans on 2 stones on 2 walls. B'keren zavis in the corner. So the corner has to have like 1 bean's worth from one end, and then the other wall also, so that the corner is going to have 2 beans worth on that corner. Arko kishnei has to be the length of 2 beans. V'rachvo kigris, and the width of 1 bean. So it sounds like that's very difficult to find. So that's what he said. It never happened. My time, Rabbi Eliezer, where does he get this one? It has such specific specifications. Ksiv kir v'ksiv kiros. One pasuk says you have to find leprosy on your wall, and one says it has to be on your walls in plural. So ezu kir shehu kikirs. Which one wall is like 2 walls? Masavi Omer is that Karen's up. Is the corner. The corner is a wall like 2 walls because 2 walls come together. Tanya Amr Rabbi Rabbi Tzadik Makom Haya B'Tchum Aza. I just saw someone say that the prophetic Gemara nowadays. Someone saw an area in Aza. Now, I don't know, does Aza mean Gaza nowadays? Is that? Assume so. Yeah, V'Hayu Koron So Churvasa, and we call it a destroyed area. So the biggest Daf Yomi shir in the world. He's in Israel, so he has a whole team of guys that do videos for him. It's the fancy. He makes it all fancy. So when he got to this, as he's speaking in the background, there's videos of Gaza just in ruins. Yeah, maybe I'll send it off. I'll post it. So they called it like a closed, destructive area. So Rabbi Shimon, Ish Kfar Akko, Ish Kfar Akko Pamachas Halakti LeGalil. So this man from the town of Akko one time went to Galil, to the Galilee. And he went to a place where they demarcated certain stones. Here's where they cleared away the stones that had leprosy. Yeah, so I guess he also held that it happened. He saw the stones. So 3 cases that, according to at least one opinion, never will and never have and never will happen. On each one, there seems to be a disagreement about it. Okay. So, okay, now, not surprised. Yeah. So, okay, so now we know what he has to eat and drink. In whose domain does he have to steal and eat? Now, what are his some more of his physical? So now the parents. What do they have to do, or what are their qualifications to have such a son, or to have him executed? Haya echad mehem gidem. One of the parents missing an arm. Oh chiger, or is lame, meaning he can't walk. Oh elam, or he's mute, can't speak. Oh suma, blind, can't see. Oh cherish, can't hear, he's deaf. Eino nasa ben soramor. Their son is not going to be a ben soramor. Why? Because Shinamar, the Torah says, v'taf subo, they grabbed him to bring him out. So you have to be able to grab him. Avima below Gidman. If you have no arms, you can't grab, right? What's with prosthetics? That's a good question. So v'hotzio so, and they brought him out. Below Chir, you have to be able to go and walk him out, bring him out. You have to have feet that work. V'amru below ilman. They say the following. Oh, they have to be able to speak. B'neinu zev. They have to point and say, "This is our son," so they can't be blind. Einenu shomea b'kolenu. He's not listening to our voice. Oh, below charashin. You only know that if you're not deaf, right? Yeah. Now that's fine. Those are the physical parts. Now masrin bo b'fnei shlosh. This is interesting. They have to warn their son in front of 3 people. And then, if he continues to not listen and go upon his evil ways, malkanoso. Sounds like they warn him and they give him malchus. Sounds like they give him malchus right away. It's not a regular warning that you shouldn't get punished. It sounds like they warn and punish him. They already warned him and gave him lashes, and he still has to continue doing what he's doing. So chazer v'kilkel nidin basim v'shlosha. If he continues to be corrupt, then he gets judged with 23 people and gets stoned. The eino niskal ad shiyusham shlosha harishonim. You have to have those 3 original people that you warned your son in front of them. They have to be 3 of the 23. Shenamar b'neinu zeu shalaka b'fneihem. This is our son, the one that we gave lashes in front of them has to be here also when they're trying him to get executed. Okay, so we had earlier, 30 daf ago, do you have to always fulfill the exact requirements of the verse as it's written or not? So it says the Gemara, Shmas mina be'inan krakid. You need to, every single detail of the Torah, you have to read it exactly the way it's, if to fulfill exactly the way it's written. Listening, bringing out, all these. If you're missing one of those qualifications, so then you will not be able to fulfill this part of the Torah. You have to fulfill each part that it says. So that's called b'inan krakid iksiv. That was 2 opinions earlier. Says the Gemara, look over here. It says you have to bring him out. You have to have arms. If you're missing an arm, you can't bring it out. Then he can't at all become a ben soramora, even if he's fulfilling all the other qualifications. Says the Gemara, no. You can't bring a proof from here that you always have to, if you're missing one of the qualifications, then you're missing everything. Just here it's different. Why? Shiny haka, turning the page, the Kollel cry Yiserahu. Here the entire verse is extra. It could have just said that they brought him out and that's it. But it said they brought him out, this is our son, he didn't listen to us. So all those words are extra. So therefore we expound all those words individually, and you don't have a proof that in general, if you're missing one detail, then you can't fulfill that obligation. Here, the whole verse is extra. So that's why you have all these requirements. And if you're missing one of them, then you'll be missing all of them. Okay, umatzim b'fnei shlosh. You have to warn him in front of 3 people. So why 3 people? 2 is always fine. Lamali betray sagya. 2 is good. Why do you need 3? Amar baya haki kamar. Masrin bo b'fnei shnayim. Umalkan oso b'fnei shlosh. Now what it means is you warn him, don't keep doing this, don't keep stealing and eating this meat, and keep going. And then you give him lashes in front of 3 people, because that's always how many people you need to give lashes. So Malchus b'fnei shlosha, Malchus b'ben soramora heicha ksiva. Wait 1 second. So it says the Gemara, where do you ever find you have to give lashes to a ben soramora? We know you have to stone him, but where do you get lashes? Kid Rabbi Abo, Amar Rabbi Abo, a few steps, but it says Lamanu v'yisru mi v'yisru. It says in our section, in our part, you should chastise him. It says about somebody who, after the wedding, woke up and is being motzi shemra on their wife and saying she was never a virgin. It says there we also chastise him. That's v'yisru. And then it says mi ben uben, mi ben. It says in that verse it says the word ben, and then in another verse it says ben, and in the other verse it's referring to, really it says in bin hakos Russia, but it's similar to ben. There it talks about giving lashes. So you learn it back to the verse about being motzi shemra, saying something that's not true about your wife, that you chastise, and then you learn back to us the word chastising. This is a few-step process that the word vayisru, the word chastising, refers to lashes. Yeah. So fine. So that's that. So that's how you know, a 3-step process, how you know that you get lashes. Vayisru from our ben soramora to vayisru of what we call motzi shemra, someone says inappropriate things about their wife, lashon hara about their wife. And there the word ben is learned out from another pasuk called bin hakosa Russia, which is referring to lashes. Therefore you plug it all back in, and you know that our ben soramora has to get lashes. Okay. Chazer v'kilka, if he keeps continuing along his ways, he has to get judged in front of 23 people. So hayimi bayile. So this that it says in the Mishnah. It says the last part of the Mishnah says B'neinu zeh zeu shalaka b'fnechem, that which you need, the same 3 people that gave him malchus, that gave him lashes, need to be 3 of the 23 that execute him. Is from the verse, this is our son. This our son, you know, the one that you gave him lashes, and you're specifying this is our son, it's implying that they have to recognize the kid. So at least 3 out of the people that have to recognize him because they gave him lashes. Says the Gemara, but that b'nei nuzeh, you just needed a second one to teach you that the parents can't be blind. They have to point to their son and say, this is our son. If you're blind, then you can't do that. So you can't have 2 things out of one part of the pasuk. So what is it? So Haimi Baile Zeh v'lo Suman, you just told me a second ago, it has to teach you Zeh, this is my son, and not parents who are blind, who don't recognize their son because they're blind. Says the Gemara, okay, Im Kain Lichtov Kra, Im Kain Lichtov Benenu Hu. He is our son. Ma'i Benenu Zeh, this is our son, being very specific. Shma Mina Tarti, from the fact that it used the word Zeh and not who, teaches you both. Teaches you, first of all, you have to say who your son is. Benenu, this is our son. Okay, then you can't be blind. And also, Benenu Zeh, you point to him, the one that some of the judges had to have recognized because they gave him lashes before. So both of those requirements are learned out. One is Benenu, it says Benenu, our son, and technically Benenu Zeh. Instead of saying Benenu Hu, it says Benenu Zeh. So that teaches you both of those requirements. Fine. Now, everything is finished. He's on trial. And now what happened was he ran away. So does it matter when he ran away? Before or after he was sentenced? So let's see. Baruch ad shelo nigmar dino. He ran away before the final verdict was said. So they're about to say you're guilty. He runs away. Now what happened in the interim before we found him? He hikiv zaken atachton. He developed a full hair of pubic hair, full level of maturity, which disqualifies you to be a ben saramur. So now what happens? When you were executed, when you were tried, you met the requirements. Now you don't meet the requirements. Says you're putter. Since you haven't been actually they didn't issue the verdict yet. You ran away beforehand, so then you're going to be exempt. However, the imish and nigmar dino, once you've already been, the verdict has been said that you're guilty, right? And then you ran away. So imish and dino baruch then we don't care. So meaning, even though you have changed since the verdict was issued, and if right now they would issue a verdict on you, you'd be exempt because you are past that level of maturity. But since at the time of the verdict you met the qualifications, you're still going to be guilty and then therefore stoned. Okay, so now this idea of things changing when you did one thing wrong and now things change. So we're going to launch the whole discussion about that. So Amar Rabbi Chanina ben Noach. So you have a non-Jew shebirech es Hashem. So a non-Jew cursed God. Bad. Not allowed to do that. Can't do that. Okay. But now what happened? He converted. V'yachar kach nizgayer. So now what happens? Is he liable for that which he did as a non-Jew? Or you say no, he's a new person. Potter. Why? Why is he exempt? He's potter. He's exempt. Why? Hol v'nishtana dino, nishtana misaso. Right now the rules are different. You get tried very differently. As a non-Jew, you need one judge. You can have close relatives judging for you. You don't need to have any warning beforehand. But now as a Jew, you have a whole new set of laws, how we would try you. So just because you were guilty as a non-Jew, but since you have a whole new set of ways how to try you now as a Jew, your death penalty also has changed. Meaning, so since originally you would have been judged with only one witness, one judge, no warning. If you'd have done it now, you would have had a warning and a Sanhedrin of 23 judges. So since the way we judge you has changed, your death penalty will also be changed. So every ben Noach, so 2 opinions, but we're assuming now, gets killed by the sword. If you would curse God now as a Jew, you would get skila. You would get skila. So since right now, since now you're not going to be punished with skila, therefore you're exempt. Why? Since the rules changed and your death changed also, therefore you're going to be exempt. Sounds like exempt in everything, right? Not only exempt from stoning, exempt from even getting killed by the sword. Totally exempt. You did something which gave you the death penalty as a non-Jew. But as a Jew, you did not meet that requirement. The rules are different. The playing game is different. Therefore, you're exempt. Says the Gemara. Yeah. Name a Misayele. So before we get into more of the whys, let's bring a proof from our Mishnah. Barach achlo nigmar dino. The guy ran away before the verdict was issued. And afterwards, he developed the full level of maturity, right? So he's exempt. So why is he exempt? He should have been executed. My time alav mishum damrin and hol ishtani. Is it not because we say that since things have changed, meaning now, even though before he would have been liable, but now he's a different person. Now he does have a full set of hair, and therefore he's going to be exempt. Isn't that the reason why he's totally exempt? Says the Gemara. No, that's not the reason. Lo shiny hacha the avid hashta lav bar katalahu. The reason why you're exempt if you're a ben Saramoro who ran away before they issued the verdict is because if right now they would give you a verdict, you'd be exempt. Right now, if they would give you a verdict, you'd be exempt because now you're already too mature. You're already past that stage, that maturity stage of being a ben Saramora. Therefore, you don't have a proof. Our case, you're guilty. You cursed God. Cursing God is something which you really should be liable for. But to that we say, since things have changed, therefore things have changed, and therefore you are exempt. Fine. So now, Tashma, bring a proof from the other part of our Mishnah. Nigmar Dino, once you got the verdict was issued and you're guilty, and then you ran away, and then you developed a full set of hair, and which would make you exempt. You're still chayiv. So even though things have changed, doesn't matter. You're still going to be chayiv. You're still going to be executed. So says the Gemara, you don't have a proof from there that we don't say if things have changed, that things have changed. Meaning we don't say that even though things have changed, we should change your verdict. No, we should keep your verdict the same. But that's not a proof to our question about a non-Jew who cursed God and then converted. Why? Because here, when you did it, once it was nigmar dino, once the verdict was set and they finished your judgment, gavra katilahu, you're already a dead man walking. Once they issue the verdict that you're going to get killed, you're called the gavra katila. So nothing will change that. You're already literally a dead man walking. So getting that full set of hair is not going to remove you from that status. Okay. Tashma, another attempted proof. Ben Noach shehikes chavero. So, as a non-Jew, he went and he hit his friend, killed his friend. It was a good punch. Now, it was a good punch. Or Baal Eshes chavero, or he had relations with his friend's wife. Both of those things you're not allowed to do as a non-Jew. You can't kill, and you can't have adulterous relations. And now he converted. Good way out, right? Vinus Geyer, he's exempt. Potter. Exempt totally. However, Asa Kain be Yisrael Vinus Geyer Chayiv. If that same non-Jew would have killed a Jew or would have had adulterous relations with a Jewish lady, right, with his friend who's Jewish, so then even though he converted, he's still going to be killed. So says the Gemara of Amai, name a hole ishtani. Why should you kill the guy? He's a Jew now. As a Jew, you have to get tried very differently. You need 23 judges. You have to have a warning. So shouldn't you say, since things change, and therefore the rules would be different, and therefore right now you're not liable to be killed, because right now it's a whole different set of laws. But we see from here, you do get killed. So that we don't go with that rule. So, the Amai, name a hole ishtani. So, says the Gemara, no. Dino umisaso be'inan. You need to have two qualifications. You need to have the way he's judged has to be different, which is always going to be different if he's a non-Jew, now a Jew. A non-Jew needs one judge, no warning. However, you also need that the death should be different. It should be a different death penalty. Dino umisaso be'inan. V'hai dino ishtani, misaso lo ishtani. Here, by the guy that had adulterous relations as a non-Jew with a Jewish lady, it's going to be the same death penalty when he's a non-Jew to when he's a Jew. So since both things didn't change, therefore we don't say this rule of since it changed, it changed. You have to have two things change: the way you're being judged, which is always going to happen if you're a non-Jew to a Jew, and your death has to be different also. So now, Bishlama wrote Seyach in the case that he killed somebody. I understand. Mikara Saif, originally he gets killed by the sword. As a non-Jew, you get killed by the sword. And even now as a Jew, he also gets killed by the sword. So there, the death penalty didn't change. Therefore, even though he converted, we're still going to kill him because the death penalty remains the same. However, the case of a married lady, you should exempt him from that. Ella ish. So Chris, the non-Jew, had relations with Shmuli's wife, right? And then Chris became a Mordechai, right? And we say that we're still going to kill you. So why? Ish mi karasayif. Originally, it was getting killed by the sword, the hashtechenek, and now it's going to be killed through strangulation. So your death penalty did change, and therefore we should exempt you. Says the Gemara, no. We're talking about a specific case of a nar murasa, of a lady who's a nar murasa, that both as a non-Jew and as a Jew, you get skila. Why? Because the non-Jews don't have a concept of nar murasa. They don't have two stages of marriage. And the Gemara said earlier, if they do something which they don't have it in their laws, they get judged in our laws. So even as a non-Jew, you get stoned if you have relations with a nar murasa, and even as a Jew, you'll get stoned for nar murasa. So that's why, since the death penalty didn't change, you don't get exempt. But it says the Gemara, what do you mean? It says v'ha'asa kain b'Yisrael. It says if you would do the same thing as a Jew, sounds like dumya de eishes chaveru katani. You have to do something as a non-Jew. Sounds like that you do the same thing as a Jew. But by the non-Jews, they don't have a concept of nar murasa. And it sounds like in the Brisa, we want something which, if you would do it to another non-Jew, and then similarly to a Jew, in this case, they don't have a nar murasa by the non-Jews. So, Ella, we say, Kala b'chamura meshach shaycha. So we're going back now. We're saying that really we're talking about a regular married woman. And a regular married woman, you ask that why should you be chayiv? Why should you be exempt? Well, why should you be obligated? Things changed because earlier you were chayiv in sayif, you were chayiv in getting killed by the sword, but now you're going to get strangulation. So we're saying that's okay. Why? Since originally you're going to get killed by the sword. Sword is more stringent than strangulation. So even though your death penalty changed, but it only changed to a lower death penalty. In order for this rule to kick in, that your death penalty has to change, it has to change to a higher level death penalty. Logic being that as a non-Jew, you did something which got you a lower death penalty, but now you're a Jew. We need you to do something that would get you the higher death penalty. With that, you don't have. But here you have a lower death penalty, so that's still going to be fine. So, says the Gemara, that's only good according to the rabbis. Hanich l'Rabbanan the army sayif chomer. Only according to the Rabbanan that say that getting killed by the sword, which is what you would get when you did it as a non-Jew, is stricter than strangulation, which is what you get if you did it as a Jew. But according to Rabbi Shimon, according to Rabbi Shimon, who holds strangulation is more strict than getting killed by the sword. So originally you got a less strict punishment. Now you're getting a more strict punishment. Ma'ikal Meimar, what are you going to say for that? Since the death penalty has changed to a more strict death penalty, the law should be different, and you should be exempt and not liable. For that we say, Rabbi Shimon Savarla, Kitan de Menashe. He holds like the opinion of Tana de Menashe. The Amar Kol Misa Mur Livnei Noach Eino Alochenek. The Tana de Menashe hold that every death penalty by a non-Jew is not by the sword like we hold. It's rather strangulation. Okay, we'll stop here. Oh, perfect. On the second.